Greetings.
Hotep. Who's in the live world today?
On a Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday night, as Mansho and Nawasha Edu of the Akoma House Initiative goes live. Baba Tim, my brother, what's happening?
Peace,
Brother John.
So it's late. It's late.
What's up?
It's late.
Oh, here we go,
right?
Michelle. How y'all doing, y'all?
On a random Wednesday. But we just wanted to come on to talk about the holidays. So we've been talking about the holidays, and we've been hearing other people talk about the holidays. In that it's a hectic time of year for relationships. So normally around this time of year, we start talking about relationships with our clients because you start to see people that you haven't seen maybe all year. You start to, the energy and the mood and the television and, songs that you hear, everything. Yeah, that's how it can really feel that way. So we wanted to just get on and talk about how you can really manage that in different kinds of relationships. And first, what it is. So if you have had an experience or if you're dreading if you're dreading a certain holiday, we want to hear which one is the hardest for you. So first, we just want to say that holidays magnify whatever you're feeling anyway.
Right.
So if you're happy, it's going to magnify that. Let me just, for the record, I haven't really celebrated Christmas and that type of thing in so long. So my mom
Ifatunde, what's up, bro?
Is Muslim. We stopped celebrating Christmas after a while, maybe when I was about like 11 or 12 years old. But still to this day, from when we did used to celebrate Christmas, and this is, random, a Christmas Carol from when I worked in retail, a Christmas movie, and the Jackson 5 Christmas album is one of my favorites of all time. And not just like, I could listen to it in July. So certain things are anchored into a happy time, a fun time, a youthful time, but it's also a time that when everyone else is happy and when everyone else is enjoying family, that you might feel upset or you might feel a loss, so grief is amplified, stress is amplified. When people are not there, that were there the last holiday, that is amplified. So sometimes this time of year, it's like Thanksgiving is a couple weeks away. And even when we're celebrating certain things, even celebrating the holiday can be, what's the word? A conflict. Yeah, it can be a conflict for you to say, hey, I'm off on Thanksgiving, but I don't even really want to celebrate this holiday per se. But this is when my family does come together. This is when people that I don't see, that don't live near me, come together. So it's a lot that goes on at this time of year. It's really unique. I
think that, like Nawasha said, the holidays magnify our relationships. They magnify the good, they magnify the bad, and what they signify is they become anchors. They become anchors in our physiology, in our emotional self, our minds. They become the things that really anchor us back to happy times, sad times. I just saw Baba Tim say that all of the holidays are a trigger now because of the loss of his grandmother. And I could really relate to that. This month marks the 1 year birthday of our son, who's no longer with us. And this would be his first, this would be his first official holiday season walking into it. Because he was born at right after Thanksgiving. But, the holidays essentially magnify our relationships, good and bad. And so what happens is we have to have mechanisms to deal with. We have to have a perspective to approach it with, and we have to have a science to actually deal with what is happening to us emotionally, psychologically, and physically during the holidays. So what we wanted to talk about was a couple situations and give you some practical tools to really deal with these situations that may come up with you. Because as Nawasha said, peace, Shah, the hero. I saw Lisa Zen, a couple of people. Thank you all for joining us. I think that what happens in the family dynamic becomes very, very deep, because when you talk about the 7 sevens, you basically have known your family your whole life. And so during your dependency stage, different things were anchored in you from the 0 to 7. And, thanks, Sha. We appreciate that. So these things became anchored in you. Hey, Alicia. And so now they are a part of you at a very, very base level that a lot of times, without really a technique or a mechanism, they almost can feel like they're impossible to cleanse yourself of, or they're impossible to find greater meaning in. So what begins to happen, there was a poll that came out this week, a lot of therapists are talking about it, that said 52% of Americans say that they dread the holidays because they have to be face to face with family members. So now we're dealing with not only the people that you love and the people that you despise that you can't get away from, but then there's also the places that you have to return to. Like you might have to return to a house or a town that becomes an anchor for you. And then you have memories and different other kind of experiences that are linked to the holidays. So now they're saying, Peace Jamila, they're saying 52% of American public are saying that they are dreading the holidays.
I would never think it would be that high.
And
not
so
the way that it
deep.
is so commercial.
Right.
Because it's officially, once you're done with Halloween, the holidays are on.
Right.
So really, truly, there's Christmas decorations up, so not even the Thanksgiving planning and the lunch and the dinner and I'm off of work and like some of the things that happen, just having a national holiday. Right. But the way that it seems like it is, and I have not celebrated since I was a child. So like I said, my anchor to Christmas, I was a little child really wanting toys and wanting to be off from school and wanting to be around family and stuff like that. So my anchor when I see stuff, even though I haven't celebrated, even though I've been living with my mom as a Muslim for my preteens, teens, and early adulthood, I still have a happy anchor to the holidays. So I would never think that more than half of the people that would be in any random poll would say they dread it. Right. Especially with the retreat time and the time off of work and the so-called happiness. And there's a little bit of a superficial
there's a lot of superficial.
When you're out in the world and people are saying like the happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all of those types of things, it seems like you would be like, I like that time, or that it might be 20% of the people, or maybe even 30% of the people. But the way that it is promoted, like there are some channels that are only playing Christmas movies right now.
Peace, Adrian.
There are it's on every cartoon or in every commercial.
Michael Brooks, what's up, family?
I was at the post office earlier today and it was all over the post office. So it seems like this is obviously, where the country is going. So there could be a lot of expectations. Right. So thinking about it a little bit deeper, I could see how you might dread it. If you're saying I got to spend money, I have to see people, I have to do things that I don't want to do.
Marjorie Sheba, we love you, Queen. How you doing?
Hey, peace. That is not...
Keep up that good work.
Something to be looking forward to, right? So we already know.
Well, let me just add this, Queen. I wanted to say that, one of the things about the holidays that was always interesting to me, I'm going to always include a cultural dynamic because I lived in two worlds. And what I saw, thank you, Adrian, for sharing the video. Share the video, y'all. What I always saw was the very people who were applying this system of pressure and constant attack for 3 months out the year, they act like so kind to you. Like from like the end of October to like around like the middle of January or going into Valentine's Day. Some of the people that was calling you,
Happy New Year.
They're like, Happy New Year. God bless
holidays.
You. Let me get that door for you. So it becomes this like almost Stepford Wives type of kindness
can see that.
Amongst the society. And as a child who was living a very polarized example, I was like, yo, what just happened to the world? Like, everybody hated me 2 months ago, and now somebody's like, do you need a ride? But a month before, I was walking down that strange street and somebody rode by like, nigger, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was very, very interesting for me, because I had moved from a city environment that was urban and 99% black to an environment where we were like 80% white. And I just so I was always suspect of the holidays, because just on a personal, emotional level, not even because of the stuff I didn't believe in. And we didn't stop in our family celebrating certain things till we were we were in middle school. And my mom said, you know what? We're going in another direction. We we not doing this. And I don't know, I think a lot of it was economic, but she also had the foundation through the Panthers and the nation and the cultural stuff that she just wasn't trying to do it anymore. So I just was like, yo, I just, but I always saw that thing. And it was always really weird to me that why are all these people acting nice? And then when black people start saying, oh, it's February, it's Black History Month, we got this rage from the same people who were last month talking about their New Year's resolution, and the month before that, they was God blessing you all over the place. So it was a very weird type of energy for me.
Dealing with all the individual family members that all have their own personal stories.
Oh, yeah.
With those individuals, especially, yes, people who have passed on. That's really true. And that's one of the things that we actually were going to share. Right. Is how do you really deal with difficult personalities?
We're dealing with that. This holiday season, we're really dealing with that for the first time more intensely than we ever have, because this ain't granny or somebody like that. Not to diminish the loss of a grandparent or elder, but we lost a very infant child. So go ahead, Queen.
And difficult personalities in general. So like I said, I was looking forward to the holidays because I would see my aunt and uncle and people that I don't ever see that I love seeing because we're in different states. But when you have a situation where there's a difficult personality, but you want to show your face or you want to pay respect to another person, like a mother, grandmother, but then there's an uncomfortable situation because we don't heal things that happen in our relationships, this becomes like I can kind of avoid it all year except for this. And the dread sometimes is coming up on it. So we got a couple of ideas, that we give to our clients, that we use for ourselves for dealing with a difficult personality.
Yeah. So first of all, dealing with a difficult personality. First, let us say that we recognize as therapists, we recognize as people that this is a range. So we're not necessarily talking about a person who is straight abusive, because sometimes during the holiday, you can go into deep anxiety because you have to revisit a person who molested you or a person who did something to you that was totally a violation. If you have that situation, please reach out to us. We don't want to go into depth in this format with that. Tyler, what's up, brother? Much love to you. I've been thinking about you, man. I got a new phone. Call me because I don't have any numbers. I'm on a borrowed phone. I'm on a loaner phone. That goes for all my friends. But Tyler, I've been thinking about you, young man.
Don't start that conversation.
So anyway, but I think that if you're dealing with those type of situations, please reach out to us because we can help with that stuff. So we're not talking about that now. We're not dismissing that, but there's certain things that you have to do if you have to encounter someone who has seriously violated or molested you or something like that. However, what we're talking about is a personality conflict that is usually intergenerational. In other words, if you have a peer sometimes, peace, be real. If you have a peer like your cousin who's your age or a sister or a brother or someone who you don't see, you might feel the confidence to be able to deal with those situations in a certain way. But if it's your mother's brother, say, for example, or your father's sister, and they're an aunt or somebody who always picks at you because you the light skinned one or you the dark skinned one, and we're going to get to that colorism thing that happens in our family. We've been having that on deck. We got a great one coming up for that. But it could be a lot of things. Somebody's too loud, or they're too offensive in the way they talk, or they curse a lot, or they just look strange, or, you know, whatever it is. To deal with those personalities, there's a couple of things you could do. One of the techniques that I would say is something called dousing or cleansing. And basically, it's a cultural technique, but, you know, you see it a lot in modern psychology and just even in sports, anywhere where they do rituals. And what it is that you do a cleansing of your physical body or the environment where you intend to have contact with this person. And there's some incantations that you can say, some things that you are saying over and over again. You see it in sports. Tyler, I know you a superstar football player, but the things that we say, what time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? You know, those types of things, they put you in a psychological state to perform at your peak. And if you do it repeatedly as a ritual, what happens is it anchors that peak into you. Well, that is actually a cultural thing that we know is something called dousing or cleansing. It's a way that you cover or smother even the negative effects or the perceived negative effects that you believe you're going to have with the contact of this person. And so there's things you can do. Peace, LaTarsha. We love you, girl. We love you. We were just talking about you the other day. We want to see you. We love you. But there's things that you can use like sage, and there's different rituals. We have the pocket ritual series that we can help you with. But Nawasha, what was you going to say?
No,
go ahead, jump in.
My show is very visual, like he always says. So for people who are listening, you want to follow the whole, thought out all the way.
Okay.
So if you're trying to, basically you want to protect yourself before you have to go into certain situations, so that it's not only about the dread of it and you feel really weak from we were just talking about this earlier. When you're expelling so much energy, so much mental energy, what happens is when it's really time to have the act, you're tired already before you even go. So if you're like, hey, Thanksgiving is coming up in 2 weeks, and every time we get together, this person, we just have a conflict. We don't have harmony, and we really don't work on our relationship for the rest of the year. So whenever we get together at this time, it might be good for like 30 minutes, but it's going to be something with this person.
Right.
The idea is for you to now, instead of dreading that day that you want to go to anyway, or that you feel responsible to go to anyway, you want to fortify yourself in the next 2 weeks to deal with it if it's Thanksgiving.
Right.
So like saging yourself, doing whatever, mantra or incantation that you're going to do. Those are the things that are really going to fortify you in a mental way.
Right.
To really kind of have your spiritual kung fu up so that you can block and make sure that when you go to that person, you're not already in a weakened state. And a lot of times we don't think about fasting for holidays anymore.
I used to do that every holiday. I know if Divine, you out there, Glow, if you out there, a group of us used to get together. And even if we weren't together, we used to fast. So getting a fasting team is a way to deal with the holidays. If you are going to be around your family and you got to show up, because your grandmom ain't trying to hear it that you don't celebrate your family. She is not trying to hear that. Somebody ain't trying to hear that. So you got to show up. And we don't care that you change your name or none of that. You better come in here and sit down next to Nana or somebody, and you know that you're going to have to deal with things. What we would say is bring somebody, peace, G, we love you. Bring somebody with you by having a fasting team.
And even if you go by yourself, and even if you're fasting by yourself, truly, even if you want to eat on Thanksgiving, and this is the one time that you go off your diet and you're gonna have Nana's mac and cheese. Darn it. You're going to eat the mac and cheese on this one day. This one day out of the year, right?
I'm not saying no darn it.
Oh,
You
goodness.
sound like my great grandmother who didn't
Gosh,
curse.
blang it.
My grandmother used to say, dog bite it. That was her curse word. Dog bite it.
If you're going to do it, the idea
That was
is
my
be
great-grandmother.
as strong as you can be when you get there. So if you're going to go off your diet and you're going to have this kind of like toxic person antagonizing you while you're there, you just want to be in the best state of mind to deal with something that's difficult.
Right.
So that's all the time. But with this kind of dread, really the dread and worry is mental energy because nothing has really happened yet. It's all off of, you're going to make the prediction that it's going to happen again based on last year or the last 20 years. So you can kind of say, yeah, if this person's coming, it's about to be something. So for that, you have 2 weeks, which is a great amount of time.
To prepare
Even
yourself.
3 days is a great amount of time to say, hey, I'm going to go on Thursday, on Thanksgiving. I'm going to say, you know, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to make sure that my mental nutrition is on point, my physical nutrition, my spiritual nutrition, and I'm going to sage the space. I'm going to come up with the expression that's going to anchor me back into why I'm really coming to the event. If it is just to sit next to Nana, and if that's what you want to get out of it, then that's what you have to go into it knowing. So that was the first thing, is really how to cleanse yourself physically, spiritually, emotionally, to really be fortified instead of weakened when you go into, you know, the space.
Right. And I think another technique that you can use for that is to interrupt the pattern of the way people usually know you. One of the things you can do if you're culturally centered or you just want to repel, one technique you can do is wear all white. You can wear fragrances that are protection fragrances like frankincense, myrrh, those types of things. Or you can wear the scents that relax people like lavender, and those types of things, lang lang oil, those types of things that bring out concepts in people or behaviors in people that are more soothing, and try to use what you're going to do in creating and preparing the space is use all the senses. Mm-hmm. So you're going to use what can you wear that will repel if that's what you're looking to. So you want to wear whites. What can you do that will invigorate, or if it's somebody that you need to stand up to, that this is the time now that I'm finally going to say what I want to say, you can wear those reds, those bright reds, or those fire oranges, and those colors that represent the energy and the excitement or the passion or power that you might need to make a statement. Mm-hmm. So you can do those types of things.
I think sharing who you are is a great idea. So that is like, you know, I know that we do that sometimes. Yes. So like when we come to something, we might cook a meal. Mm-hmm. We might, you know, we're prepared to make a contribution and to exchange in a way that is positive.
Right.
So what we're doing is really making sure that you have so much background information from the 20 years that you have been going that it is almost predictable that what you can do is be proactive and say, hey, if I have to complain about food, then I should bring a dish to share so that people can try something new and we can create some new traditions and some new, you know, energy moving forward. If it's about, you know, I know this person's going to say something slick, then I'm going to forgive them in advance, or I'm going to be prepared to be funny or laugh it off and say, hey, I knew I could count on you to say that, or whatever it is that you're going to be able to say, I'm at my strongest point instead of I'm at a weaker point. Right.
And the next technique we're going to give you is that you can create the future in the present by writing out a script. So if you understand, like you're writing a movie, you understand that Uncle So-and-so usually says this. He says this every year. He makes a comment about the fact that I have 3 children by 3 different men, or he says something about I'm the lightest one in the family and who's my dad, and whatever the case is. And if it's something that's hurtful, you can write the script. If it's something that you love, you can extend by writing the script out. You can have certain things that you could say so that you can respond to get the desired result, or magnify the experience. Because when you alter the senses around an event, what you do is something that they call deletion and distortion. You delete the things that are not important to you or you don't want to be important to you, and you distort or blow up the things that you want to be important to you. So you already know what those are, and you already know what family members you have issues with, so you can begin to set that in motion before it happens.
Right.
Another writing technique that you can do is say there's some difficult messages that you want to say to certain family members, and you know they always come and sit in this chair. Instead of handwriting it out, type it on a piece of paper, print it anonymously, and leave it on their car or in that chair, or after everybody hangs up their jacket, go put it in the coat closet, go in the coat closet and slide it into their sweater or jacket or favorite hat. And then when they get it out and read it and it says, Cousin Richie, you are an asshole. You always do X, Y, and Z. And I would like for you, or you often do X, Y, and Z. I would like for you to consider the feelings of the family members when you do and up, because you think it's funny, but it's actually hurtful. Or you could leave it in the positive and say, Aunt Susan, I just want to tell you, this is one of your nieces talking, that we really love this thing about you. And then don't even say who it comes from. She will find that, and she will find that so touching and say, oh, who did this? Who put this in here? So these are little techniques that you can use the writing modality, whether it's the negative side or the positive side. So we got dousing and cleaning your space, changing your physical presentation, including your smell. And then we have writing, whether how you can deal with it for a negative person, a negative situation, or a negative place, because you can write a letter to a place. I always hated this house, and house, so and so and so and so and so, or you can say I always loved this house, and then you can take those things, you can burn those letters, or you can actually mail it to the house anonymously before you get there. What you are doing when you do this is, this may sound trivial to some people who don't understand it, but if you try these techniques, you will see that they really work. And they're present in a lot of AA and all of that kind of stuff, because what you're doing is you are giving yourself in the present the desired feeling that you want to have in the future. And when you condition your mind to say, this is what I want to happen, and this is how I'm going to make it happen. This is what I want to happen. This is how I'm going to make it happen. When the time comes for the event to take place, you increase your ability of having what you want to happen actually happen. Now, we do this in sports and other things. They call it visualization, incantations, conditioning, or rituals that you do. But they actually work, and we teach them. So go ahead.
And I think that, sometimes we need to look at the people in our lives in a different way. So, we say this a lot in relationships, in the intimate relationship, even with your children. Sometimes you need the objective view of the people in your family. So we say this often, right, that there's a reason why people are the way that they are. Right. So when they think they're being funny, that has worked for them. And a lot of times that's everybody. I think we said this the last time that we were talking to everybody, that you create something that is really like a coping mechanism for right, you, that you just hang on to into adulthood. So if you're like, hey, when I was younger, I had to make jokes to make myself feel better. There were crazy family situations that I said, I'm just going to joke about and laugh it off. What happens when you're older is now you're laughing it off and you're making jokes and it's not appropriate anymore. But you're in such a rhythm that you can't break that bad habit on your own. So sometimes letting people know in a loving way, what is happening, but also not even just letting them know, but in your own mind, changing right, the way that you look at it. So sometimes you don't have to say anything to someone right, to say, I've always looked at you like this, like a troublemaker, and like you're making jokes to be mean, and like you are an asshole. Uncle so-and-so. But in the truth, you did that because you wanted to be funny, because you wanted to protect people, because you wanted to lighten the mood in the room. There's always another way to look at something.
I don't think I heard Nawashi say asshole in like 6 years.
You started it.
I don't think I've
so
ever,
the idea is in your mind, you can change the way that you are looking at someone. You can change the relationship. And we talk about this all the time because people don't like to necessarily, they want to say, sometimes people want counseling, but they don't want to come first, or they're waiting for their mate, or they're waiting for their mom, or they're waiting for whoever, their sister. And what we say a lot of times is if you come by yourself, you can change your thought process and magnetize a whole new relationship with someone.
That's right.
So not even leaving a note for them that is, unless if that's not your thing, you can prepare in your mind to say, let me look at this person objectively. Let me, suspend my immediate emotion about it. And let me just say, I'm going to pick a different emotion. I'm going to sympathize with the fact that they don't know how to communicate. I'm going to model a better way to be funny, for real. I'm going to model a way to be sensitive. I'm going to say to them just the truth. Like, hey, I noticed that you make light of things that are pretty serious. I wonder why you started doing that. And then let something just resonate if it has to. Right. But sometimes our experiences are not necessarily bad. So half the people are dreading, 52% are dreading the holiday. That's a little more than half. Right. But the rest of the people are looking forward to it. How do you make the most out of the holiday season when you're happy and when you're looking forward to it? So the number one thing that we always say for that, and in general, is to be present in your life. Right. So when you go to Thanksgiving dinner, I'm sure there's going to be some delicious meals, some pies. I'm going to say all the things that I like. The desserts, the macaroni and cheese is what I used to love. When you see those things and you start taking pictures on with your phone, and you're posting it onto IG and you're putting it up on Facebook that, hey, we're all together and we're happy and, all this type of stuff. The idea is you should be really present. Right. So take some time off of your phone. If you're going to take a picture of the plate and the meal, that's great. But then put the phone down, chew the food, taste the delicious meal, appreciate the recipe that probably was cultivated over, years, decades, right? It could be generations. Appreciate who is in the space. Because for the people who are enjoying the holiday, and the people who are looking forward to the holiday, the truth is, we talked about grief a little bit ago. The truth is some of the people who are at this Thanksgiving will not be at the next Thanksgiving. Right. And that happens in every single family, every single year. Something happens, something changes, someone's going through something. So this year when you're there, don't be so much into the television and into the, cell phone that you're not actually getting the most and being the most fulfilled from the holiday experience.
Hey, Jamie. Vaughn Jackson, how you doing? Yeah, I think that's a great point in Washington. And I would close on saying this. For many people who really had the experience where the holiday becomes a trigger to all the sadness, really what's happening for you most of the time is that you haven't reconciled the coping mechanism and the grief process. When we lose a person in this realm, our relationship doesn't end with them, but it changes. And even though we have funerals and things like that to celebrate the life, and people often say, well, hey, this is for the living and not for the other person because they've made their hey, Jamie, they've made their transition. Really what happens is, Baba Tim, if you're still out there, my beloved brother who I love very much, we haven't mastered the coping mechanism of how to continue the relationship with someone who we love dearly once they've left the material realm, and the meaning of their life or death becomes the really tragic thing that we can't reconcile. And I'm not just giving you some theory. We are actually going through that right now in our personal lives, when we are a couple of weeks away from the first birthday of our child who didn't live for more than 3 months. So it's a very real thing. Now, to say it doesn't mean that you don't cry or you don't have magnified emotions, but it is how you deal with those emotions that becomes the overall way that you interpret, is this something that I want to experience? We all understand, if we are of a certain age, and we're all adults, most of us here, I hope you're an adult, you understand that all of us are going to eventually make our transition. That is the circle of life. So, dealing with grief and loss is another thing, but you have to start to prepare for your own transition and how you're going to cope with that to the best of your understanding. And so these things are really profound things, but they can be simple to put into perspective. That doesn't mean that you don't feel the emotions. I'm not trying to, diminish the intensity of any emotion that you feel, but you can cry about your grandmom and then you can take out her favorite albums, or you can, lament about the things you weren't able to say to her, but then you can still write her a letter, even though she has transitioned on. So there are techniques that you can use, and we can help you with those.
To ease the dread.
To ease the dread.
To magnify the joy that you want to experience. So when you are really looking forward, because like we said, half of the people in the survey are looking forward to the holiday.
And let me just say, I think it's more than that. I think more than the 52 people.
It could be. But even if it is 60-40, the idea is sometimes people look forward to something and they still don't feel fulfilled in the experience.
Yes.
So you can be like, hey, I can't wait for the new year. I can't wait for Christmas. I can't wait to see my family for Thanksgiving. And then you put more energy or more love into the anticipation than the actual day and the actual event. So when we're talking about
bring your spouse to your family,
magnifying all of the senses,
and you say, I can't wait till you meet Uncle so and so, and then your spouse goes, that's Uncle so and so, that man, like where the car at?
If you have to pay attention. Somewhere around this point every live, this happens. Okay. I think we need to start timing it.
Can you show me where the driveway is at?
We need to time it to see if it happens at the same time. Then I can see that Mom's show has an internal clock that's going off at a certain time. But what I was saying was, if you want to magnify a joyful experience, you want to go through the 7 senses.
Right.
And make sure that you're paying attention. Right. So that's what it really means to be present. Because sometimes we say that and then we're not even present. Right. But if you're saying, what do I see that I love that I might not see again?
Right.
If I'm going to my grandmother's house. Do I like the chair that's over there by Nana? Do I want to sit in it? Let me sit in it for 5 minutes. And really let me sit in it for 2 minutes, but really be mindful for the 2 minutes. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Those are the kinds of things that when we are preparing for somebody's transition or our own, what we're really saying is I can take those experiences and use them as wonderful memories for the rest of the year and for the rest of my life. Right. If I don't see that person, or even if I do, I have more appreciation for them every single day and every single month and every single year, because I'm looking like, hey, what does my Nana look like?
Right.
What are my cousins like? Who is the funniest person? Let me really listen to all of their jokes this year. Right. And let me just listen to the tone of their voice, the pattern that they have, because these are every single person in your family, and you are an amazing, unique being. Right. And sometimes we're taking each other for granted at these holidays and at these times when we're looking forward to it.
But we're like, be in a moment.
And then sometimes even when people are bothering us, this happens all the time. When you go to a funeral, you'll be like, man, I didn't get a chance to do this. I didn't get a chance to restore this. Even if you had a challenge with somebody, when you're coming to the end of a life, that's when it becomes really clear that you could have cleared up a disagreement. Right. You could have cleared up a misunderstanding. You could have just expressed more love. And sometimes when we feel grief or sadness or regret in relationships, it's because we know we could have done something else, and we could have done essentially more than what we did. So sometimes if you're missing your mom, you're saying, I didn't tell that person that I love them enough. And it feels like things are on pause. But like Mansha was saying, you can have an altar for that person. You can carry that person's picture. You can wear that person's favorite color to whatever event and find a way to have a new kind of relationship, because the person is still with you. Right. That's why you're still thinking about them. That's why you are still sad. That's why you are still, you have their voice in your mind. You have what they would say, what they would do, or what you would want them to say and do. That is real for you. What's going on in your mind is
Right.
real for you. So we're saying make sure, which is very hard to do in this time when we're super distracted. It's great to be on, Facebook or to go live with your meal and share the love, but you have to make sure that you take the balance to say, if I'm going to do that 5 times over the weekend and take pictures and have fun, I'm also going to not do it. I'm also going to make sure I put my phone completely in my pocket.
Put that phone down.
And I'm just going to say, instead of taking a picture on the phone, like you see these posts all the time, when people are at concerts and everybody's on the phone instead of watching the actual concert. Right. So sometimes you could take the group family photo. That's great to look at. That's great to show your children. That's great for people to have when someone does make a transition. It's great to still look at the person that they were, the shell that they were in. But to be able to say, let me take the picture with my eyes and with my mind, which is what the camera is based on anyway. Right. Let me store this in my actual body memory, don't and be not afraid, only in the camera memory.
Don't be afraid to keep a visual memory. Your mind is a better computer than any computer that exists. Your eyes are better than any satellite in space or anything that you're doing. And that's why we're culturally based. But if you were to go to a Gestalt therapist, Gestalt therapy would put you in front of your grandmother or grandfather's chair. They might put their hat or clothes or a picture of them, and they would have you talk to that person as if they're alive. We don't do Gestalt therapy, but what I like about it that works is that it teaches you that the relationship that you have with a person is still alive even when they're not present. And so what happens is that they give you techniques in Gestalt therapy that will make you confront the fact that even though we talk like grandma's not here anymore and stuff like that, she's with you every time you think about her. So now what we've lost in our culture is, how do I commune with her? How do I have a conversation with her when I want to? Or how do I express the things that I feel like I have to carry for the rest of my life and never get a chance to express? There is a way to do that. We used to have that training in our culture, but when we lost it, we then begin to take bits and pieces of other cultures, and many of them don't serve them. So I'm not against Gestalt therapy. I don't use it. But what I do like about it is that it teaches you that a relationship is in your heart and in your mind first, whether the person is present or not. And the relationship can grow in your heart, in your mind, and in your behavior, whether the person is present or not. So that includes correcting an ill, neutralizing a pain, and then setting an intention to move forward with love and respect. And so that's important for you to know. Mama Marian, peace and love.
And just really enjoying each other. Brother? Like if you're here and you're having your children around, sometimes it can be a lot, right? To have your children and to have your cousins, and you're like, hey, I'm used to having 2 children or 3 children or 1 child, and now it's like 8 children here, and they're making a mess and they're running around.
Right, and it's always one family member that don't do children. Like, I don't do all these damn children.
They're not going to be that age forever.
These your children's children.
So it's better for you to say that you really want to enjoy the children when they are 5 years old and 7 years old and 8 years old or 2 years old, and they're running around and getting under the table and all the stuff that children do. It's better to say, I really, this is amazing. They're only going to be like this for a little while. Right. When they're 12 and 15, when they come over, they're going to be on their cell phone.
They want you to sign on the college.
So in the effort to not take each other for granted, it can be someone that you actually lost. It can be someone that you have a difficult relationship with. It can be someone that you love, but the idea is you can love them more. And not in anything that you do, really all starting with your mind. You can appreciate them more. You can be grateful for the children that are there, for the new children that are coming. You can be grateful for the wisdom that lives on from your grandmother, from your parents, and you can speak their name and speak their wisdom and share them still with other people. and make a point to do those things. So if you are going to the holidays and you're thinking about one of these things, first we want to know,
right,
are you dreading or are you really looking forward to it? So what side of the pole are you on?
Yeah, what side are you on? Are you
dreading the holidays or are you looking forward to the holidays? And then which one of these techniques do you think that you would want to do?
So what are you?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't celebrated in so long. I'm looking forward to it. Even if it's just off of the reminiscing. Like I really do look forward to the I'm not dreading. So let me say that. If there's two choices, are you dreading the holiday or are you looking forward to it? I do see things and hear things that remind me of my childhood and of fun and of family at this time of year only. Whether it is like the Jackson 5 Christmas album or, jokes that me and my siblings used to make or, how my mom, prepared for certain things, so all of that, when the memory comes in, I'm not dreading it. I'm welcoming who I used to be and who we were as a family. And even my family that is around now, when I make that circuit, I'm actually looking forward to seeing my family. I'm not dreading it. And whatever happens, even in the midst of some difficult relationships or awkward situations, I'm still saying that I'm valuing being alive with people. I'm valuing who these people were for me and how they influenced me either to do better with something or to be more like them, so I'm appreciating, I think is where I might be, which is maybe in the middle, but I'm not a person who's dreading. But we do want to know, are you a person who is dreading the holiday and it's been difficult and you want to use one of these techniques? Or are you a person who is looking forward to it, that you can still use the technique of how to be more present in the relationship, how to be more present in the day and really soak it in if it's a Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, New Year's dinner, whatever your traditions are. And we just want to know, what are your traditions? So a lot of times we talk about indigenous culture and traditions and ceremony. So we just want to know, what are you doing? Are you going to Thanksgiving? Are you doing your own thing? Are you going to to both sides of the family house? And do you make a circuit and do you have rounds? And what is that like at this time of year for you? And then of course, we're putting our, we want to talk to you for real. So if you want to talk to us about something that's going on in one of your relationships and you just want to, get some insight, we're putting the soulmate strategy session link in this conversation, but you can also just schedule a free consultation about any relationship. So a lot of times we're always talking about the intimate, but definitely at certain times of year, and it's always the holidays. I think that we talk about the parent relationship, the child relationship, the sister to sister relationship. So these holidays, plus New Year's, of course, Akoma Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, these are other anchors that bring emotions flooding in and magnifying, like Mansho said. So if you want to talk to us at all, a little deeper than what we talked about on here, just go to bit.ly/soulmate strategy session and schedule a time to talk to us.
We definitely, for the people who have real trauma, we didn't want to deal with that in this situation. Beverly Keys, how you doing? Beverly Keys Kelly. Because this is not the place to deal with that deep kind of trauma. If you've been, assaulted, abused, or something like that by a family member, you need help with that. But I'm always very sensitive to that because I had that experience. So if you are that kind of person, then please, by all means, hit us up for the free consultation so that we can talk to you and give you some techniques and give you some insight to deal with it. But if you are a person who is just having general dread or general anxiety, because a lot of times, you remember that poem I wrote many years ago called Holiday Time? Sometimes if you are a new, among all the holidays, I believe that Thanksgiving is the most family holiday. of all the, now that's just my experience. I'm, don't trip. Like, you might not agree with that, and cool. But I think the focus of Thanksgiving is more, the pressure is more on the relationships, in my experience as a person, and just working with families as a healer and a therapist for many years. So because unlike Christmas, where there's a duty and an exchange of, gifts, and there's a
different kind of pressure. It's more financial.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving has this energy where, especially for new couples, where this could be your first Thanksgiving with the in-laws, or your first meeting of the extended family. Reach out to us, because we want to give you the techniques to help, ease yourself and to move through those experiences with the desired result that you had. But we want to ask you, what do you think? Nawasha said that. So your answer is what? Are you dreading or not?
My answer is I'm looking forward to it.
You have
but I'm more
anticipation
along the appreciation than really I would say looking forward to it. So because we don't really participate as fully as some families do, there's really nothing for me to really kind of look forward to. But just in the culture, just going around, just moving through the world, I am appreciating the energy. I'm appreciating the memories. I'm appreciating the people that I still see. So that's friends that I could visit and go to their house. That's family members, and the time that we are all kind of on the same page. I really appreciate that. So sometimes that comes because of our schedule. So how most people are working, even when people are independent, they tend to take time to be with their friends and family who are off from work and off from school and those types of things. So all of that, I right now in my life, I think especially with us losing Lawazi, I am really appreciating the people that are in my family and in my friend groups, and even truthfully, strangers. I'm really just on something that is you're amazing, you're unique, even if you're not, what I would be looking for right now as a stranger or as a cousin or as that uncle, but I'm valuing who you are.
You're appreciating life.
Right. So, and this is just part of the culture that we are living in right now, and it's very much anchored to a happy, youthful experience for me. So I'm not on the dread side, and I was really shocked to hear that more than half of the people are dreading this time. I would have never thought the number would be that big.
Right.
So that's just my experience. Although I'm not really looking forward to anything. I have no plans set in stone. I have no date. I have no meal that I'm really cooking yet, but I'm looking forward to the possibility of seeing people still, and the possibility of exchanging with them, and just admiring who we all are out here and having a positive experience.
So I would say...
Are you dreading?
Yeah, I would say from my experience, I have gone through a few different life cycles. In my early youth, I would say my first 3 sevens, 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, I was very, really looking forward to it. Probably somewhere around the end of my third 7, around 18, 19. By the time I was 20, I had changed my name. I had a different lifestyle than a lot of my family. And my sister and I, we began to withdraw from almost every tradition that our family was doing. At that time, I felt like I hated these holidays because we caught up in this stuff and I was on my thing. Then as I became a parent and, wanted my children to have an understanding of who I thought their family was and, that kind of stuff, I became anxious about the holidays because I began to say, I have these belief systems that are in my mind what I thought was conflicting. And how do I deal with them around my family members? And many of them, as you know, in my family, it's a lot of strong personalities. And they're very intelligent. They're very charismatic. They're very artistic. So in order to, how do I stake my claim? So I used to see the holidays at that phase of my life as warfare. Like, how am I going to go in here and get out without, and then I used to be like, the holidays, when I had first changed my diet, the holidays was the only time that I would violate some of the stuff that I said that I was living by. So one of the techniques that in my mid-20s I began to fast all the time, and that became a problem because I was literally going to the holiday and I'm like, I'm not having a glass of water with y'all. And then it became like, yo, you going to sit at the table and you just not going to eat anything. And at first it started, well, let's tell stories and let's talk about it. Then it became, this man ain't eating nothing. You know what I mean? Like he's messing up my meal experience. So I fell back from that. Now I'm at a place with having my children, with having my wife, and losing many family members and things like that, but still having the cultural affiliate. We are the creators of Akoma Day, and I acknowledge Janame, I acknowledge Kwanzaa, I acknowledge all the beautiful holiday traditions that Black Americans have, but then also Black people throughout the diaspora, but even the Black American holidays. I am not so zealous and such a zealot that I would condemn my own family, because what I know and understand is that for the most part, they're just celebrating each other. Right. They're not necessarily celebrating the ideas. So I've matured.
And that's, I think, why I'm saying that I'm appreciative. Because that's really what I feel. So I feel like I can step in and I can celebrate people and myself, and I can celebrate my family without necessarily, it's tied to the holiday because of the time and the music and the food and the fact that people are off of, and I'm in education. So, colleges close, my children's school closes. So it becomes this kind of like time to actually be present for me,
Get a break.
And there really is literal. The building is shut down. It seems like there's this just appreciation for celebrating people now. Like you almost can step out of the rat race, as they say. Like it's going to be a day where even stores close sometimes, and even everyone is on the same thing. So sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's not so good, depending on what you're all on. But it's the idea of unity, and that's how I look at the holidays.
Well,
now,
let me tell you something.
Also, doing the Akoma Day.
Look, that's what I was about to say. Let me tell you something. I want to tell Nawasha something. That I have a beautiful anchor. Let me test her and see if she remembers this. What happened for us Thanksgiving 2006?
The pressure is on.
Oh, this is bad. See, this is what you got to do, brother. Sometimes you gotta, they get us about when's the anniversary or what's this or what's that, and sometimes they'll catch you off guard. You gotta throw a little thing out at them every now and again. When I say this to all of y'all, you're not going to believe that she forgot this. And I know she hasn't forgot it, but she's just on the spot. So she's trying to think of what I could be saying. What happened in our relationship Thanksgiving 2006? You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and King Simon's laughing. King Simon, we want to talk to you, bro. I want to talk to you, brother, about doing an Akoma Day event in Brooklyn. And I just hear you're the man to do events in the city. Listen, Bomani, peace, beloved.
What happened?
Let me tell you what Nawasha has forgotten, family, that happened with us in 2006, Thanksgiving weekend. In 2006, Thanksgiving weekend, me and Nawasha at this time, we are in our 5th year, right? 6th year? We're in our 5th year, right? We had entered this master's program together. We know that we're going to start the Akoma House Initiative. We're coming over a challenging time in our relationship, the most challenging time. And those that know us know what I'm talking about. Not more challenging than what we're dealing with now, but what happened in one weekend,
November
me and Nawasha, 2 things happened. First of all, Nawasha never watched Roots until 2006, right? She had never seen the movie Roots before in her life. And that was blasphemy.
Let me just say.
She had never seen Alex Haley's Roots. So for the first time, we watched the movie Roots. But for 2 days, we did not really eat. We did not really do anything. And we wrote the Accommodate book. We wrote the Accommodate book in 1 weekend. Now, if you've ever read the Accommodate book, and I suggest you get it, Guidebook into the Sacred Science of Soul Mating and the Cultural Alternative to Valentine's Day.
It's all coming back to me now.
We sat together and for almost 48 hours without sleep. It was divine intervention that we wrote this book. Now, we had started the holiday 5-6 years before. But people were talking to us and they was like, this is beautiful what y'all doing. You got to write a book. And we was like, yeah, we going to write this book.
So that's something
Our
else to
first
celebrate
book
now.
was written that we didn't have our daughters. We only had Kyrie. It was a crazy weekend. But Kyrie was like, what is going on in this house? Like, y'all not eating. Y'all are in
Like,
this.
where's the...
Yeah, y'all not
Where's
talking. We were divinely inspired. I'm telling y'all, Bomani, if you was there, bro, everybody who knows a Glow, because I know you know Glow well, that's how I met you, Bomani. Glow, anybody will tell you the zone we were in. It was so amazing that we went to this school. Remember we went to the school, the elementary school? They still talk about it as the Angel Day. We came to the school in all white. It was a bunch of children that we never even met before. They were running up to us, hugging us, and it was amazing to the point where my good friend Kamal took pictures of us that day. He was like, yo, I'm going to keep these pictures and I want you to see what y'all looked like on this day. We have been fasting for how long? I know at that time, I think I was on like maybe 14 days and I don't know how many days you were.
Probably like 12 or 13.
But we did not sleep for like 2 days.
Yeah, that's true.
And we wrote the Accommodate book and she forgot. Now, Accommodate is celebrated in 13 countries around the world by small groups, and we're very grateful and we want it to grow and we need all of y'all help. But we wrote that book that weekend, and now every Thanksgiving, that's what I think about, that we wrote the book.
Well, now that's what I'm going to think about.
That's the answer you're supposed to give. That's the way you say it. Oh, that's what it is. So.
Just, I think, even in doing Accommodate, the idea is that what are we celebrating? Like you said, we're celebrating each other and we're celebrating life and we're celebrating love, and those things are great. So we just have to make sure it's in context, and we just have to make sure that we're fulfilled when we're going to the celebration.
And we got to make sure that we take a picture, write it on that newspaper, and write it down. Don't forget about it. How do you forget about your own first book? You
have a responsibility in being fulfilled. That's the point.
Yes.
So you have a responsibility in getting the most and in celebrating. Right. So sometimes it's hard. Even for Accommodate, it's not, we don't want people to celebrate Valentine's Day. We want people to understand the celebration of love and celebrate Accommodate. So the idea of each other and celebrating and honoring and, tradition and family and all of that is amazing. And I think that we all do go through different life cycles, when we're young and when we have our own children and when we're in relationships and when we're dealing with, loss or difficult people, we all go through the same things, so I just think it's an amazing time. It's really a unique time.
It magnifies the good and the bad in a way. The holidays magnify. We hope that we've given you techniques here. Mm-hmm. I want to say this to the men because I love you, black men. One of the reasons that I had, I want to say that I came up with Accommodate, but the better way to say it is that it came through me and it came through us. Thank you, Jamie. Accommodate. I like that, Jamie. But what actually is that we have to know that we're not going to take anything away, like holiday traditions or anything like that, from anybody that we love without replacing it with something that has equal or greater than value. Now, we're at an advantage as black people because we are the parent people of the planet. So We are actually the creators of of the concept of a holiday.
Right, holy days.
And we already have the tradition. So the image that we call the heart is actually the akoma, and that's an ancient African image. So it is only because we are disconnected from our culture that we call it a heart, like other people taught us to call it. And we don't know that we're the first ones to write poems. We're the first one to build monuments. We're the first one to have the story that is commonly known as Cinderella and all of these different things about love. So we don't want to, and I'm saying this to the black men because a lot of times we become beatnik-like in our understanding of culture. And in our infancy stage of the culture, we're depending on, because we're in the 0-7 stage, the first 7 years, most of the family members who love us can't stand us when we're going through these phases where we're telling everybody what they shouldn't do, what they shouldn't eat. And we see this a lot of times in the couple. The couple comes to us and the wife say, like, I used to love my husband, or I used to love my man, but now I feel like he's the police. He's telling me what I can't watch, what I can't do, because he's going through a transition. But his delivery, instead of replacing it and allowing me to make a choice, he's basically berating me because I am not like him. And I went through that in my development in an earlier relationship in my early 20s, but also in my certain developmental stages with things that I began to exchange for other things, belief systems and other things like that. And so we have this period. We talked today about emotional certainty. And I think it was my dear friend, Randy Holland, that asked, how do you create emotional certainty? And Randy, I hope you saw that answer. I didn't see it until much later, but I did tag you so you could see that I answered your question. One of the things you could do is emotional consistency. And you can give your woman or your children or your family the emotional room to go through the process that you're going through. And I would say to those children or to those women is that look, like Nawasha said, look at your man from a different standpoint of he's just telling us what we shouldn't do but look at it from the perspective of he really loves us and he's in the infancy stage of trying to protect us or give us some higher knowledge that would take us higher. So both parties meet each other a little bit more halfway. And I think you will have a better experience. But more importantly, if you really, really need some help, y'all, really, 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 I love y'all. Please reach out to us, reach out to some other qualified professionals that can help you navigate your way through these things, because we're seeing too many beautiful families and relationships destroyed just because you didn't have an art or a science, a technique to get you through a rough time, and you need that. And so we offer that to you, and I guess that's all I have. So we're going to come back in some time and talk about the holidays.
We're talk about it every week. So building up to the holidays, really for the rest of the year, because we are relaunching the communication program that some people participated in over the spring and early summer. So communication is a big issue. So we're relaunching that program, and we really appreciate everyone who did participate in, testing it out and giving us feedback. And we just want to keep talking about that and sharing. It's the number one issue that we get. Communication. So that building up to the holidays and even having conversations, because as we go past Thanksgiving and we go on to Christmas and the New Year, we have Christmas becoming, where a time where people spend money and go into debt and take trips, and even the things that you want to buy that one person values and another person doesn't. And really what you're looking for is a fulfilling relationship. You're really looking for shared expressions of love, and we're sometimes not hitting the mark. So either the person that we love doesn't know it, or we don't feel that we've ever done enough. And then that can cause conflict when it's time for you to show the love to your children or show the love to your parents. And then the new year, even though there are many new years, right? So the new year that we reference a lot is the changeover of this calendar that we're in. So a lot of times at the end of the year, it becomes what you didn't accomplish or what you did lose or what you want to accomplish that you don't know how to. And even that in relationships brings on a new wave. If one person has a goal, I'm changing my diet, I'm investing my money, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and the other person doesn't have that goal, that's another thing.
Adrian, we love you.
That
Adrian.
happens, that, you know, when that happens, you feel like you can't move on. You feel like your relationship is over and destroyed, and you end up, as people say, growing apart, right? So every single holiday brings another challenge. You know, we are right after the New Year with a Coma Day, and then a lot of people are breaking up, and a lot of people they're saying, I haven't found my soulmate, or I don't believe in soulmates anymore, or I, you know, am not fulfilled in the loving relationship that I have. But even that,
I know black men used to break up at the holidays. Are you one of them cats that used to do that? Break up with your girl because you don't want to buy shit? Hey, that's a real thing. Like, listen, I'm a realist at the end of the day. I love our people, but we use many different coping mechanisms. And there was a street culture going around when I was coming up. And you know, I know I'm not the only dude who experienced this. So, brothers, if you had this experience, please sound off. There was certain brothers out here, not all of them, because I was a lover, and I was always attracted to the men who loved women and who were looking to do things for their women. But there was a brother that said, look, when this and this and this holiday come around, I know like 3 things to say that will start a major fight, and then I can break up with you, and I don't have to, you know, deal with you. So, you know, hey, that's a real thing. So if you had that experience, please reach out. But any experience you have, and I see Beverly is saying something, any experience you've had, reach out to us and just let us know what it is and how you're dealing with it. Let us help you to deal with it, or let you enlighten us on something and just tell us how you've had success or what hasn't worked for you that you would want some reprieve from, because we want to help y'all with that situation. But more than anything, me and Nawasha are on a campaign. And you may have seen the little moniker that we do.
I really like this point.
I'm gonna let you deal with it. Where we saying we're moving from social media kinships to real black love friendships. So we really want to know you as a person, not just a Facebook, you know, thing. If you know, we were at the Locks conference. I met so many of our Facebook friends who really came up to us and said, "I am so and so, and my name is this on Facebook, and you know, this is I love y'all, and I just wanted to meet you in person." And we hugged and we took pictures and things like that. So you know, like, we really want to continue that, because I believe that our genuine friendships and our genuine character development is going to only happen off of these mediums. It's going to happen when we're face to face, when we're getting to know each other the way we used to, and I'm not mad at these things, but I'm just saying that we're relying on them too much, and I would like to see us move. It's about
balance again.
It's about balance.
Take the picture of your meal, but also truly enjoy every bite of the meal.
Right.
Don't just take the picture. Right. That's not the most important thing. So I just think that this point, actually, I think is really great about having a blended family, and just how do you get everyone together. And I think that you do have the perspective if you have the desire to do that. But I also think that sometimes putting it out there and setting an intention for a new kind of tradition, because that's the case with a lot of families, is that you do have people who are vegetarian, vegan, Christian, Muslim. You know, you're saying, I don't have any particular religion, but I'm, you know, maybe doing indigenous spirituality, or I'm not doing anything. So how do you make sure that everybody feels welcome and can come to the same table to eat?
Make your point.
How do you make sure that everybody can come to the table and feel welcome. I really think that sometimes it's just when you have the desire and when you can see the whole picture, it's to set the intention for something new. So then it just becomes maybe like under the family name that you say, hey, let's do you do family tradition.
Right.
What can you bring that would be really great that you want to see? And then people can come out of the boxes that we give ourselves. So I'm saying if you are vegan and you're sticking to that diet, that's great and that's honorable. But then that is the time, like we said earlier, for you to bring a dish and share your best vegan dish with everybody so that there is actual exchange and love and, the positive energy going back and forth. Because sometimes when we come together and we focus on our differences, that makes us not even want to come together.
Right.
So really saying, hey, it's time for a new tradition. It's 2017. What are we going to do that is for the children? What are we going to do that's for each other? And kind of take it back to what you probably used to do many years ago before we had cell phones and all these kinds of distractions where you're just enjoying each other and playing and having fun. And again, celebrating. So we have this, unique way of celebrating in the United States as Black Americans, but just spending time and saying, hey, we want to celebrate. That's really what we want to do at this holiday. And what is your suggestion? Right. How do you want to celebrate? We want to get, people to come together. And then that creates like a new table to even come to. Because like we said, if you're coming to, certain spaces that already bring with them so much energy, like grandma's house. If you're around certain people that bring so much energy, like your uncle or your cousin or, whoever might be the difficult or just not even difficult, but big and dominating kind of personality, it can be exhausting.
Right.
So to say, hey, we are, whatever family, we're looking to celebrate. What is your idea for celebrating? What's your best thing that we can do? And get everyone to be really creative and create a new energy, a new platform, a new space, to move from. So that's it for us tonight.
Something was
on
helpful
a late
for you.
Night Wednesday.
If it was, we hope that you get in touch with us. We hope that you reach out. If not, just at the end of the day, use it and be impactful in your own family. And if we are able to inspire or give you some assistance with that, then we've done what we say our life purpose is to contribute. When in doubt in any relationship, just contribute. I'm going to post that. When in doubt in any relationship, just contribute. You'll never go wrong making a contribution if you start out setting what your intention is. Even if you don't deliver, somebody who loves you and is honest will tell you, I understand that's your intention, but it didn't come across that way.
And that is such a great point, because that's really what we're talking about. Setting the intention for fun, setting the intention for love, setting the intention to enjoy the meal and really be there in that, setting the intention for restoration, right? For forgiveness. That goes a long way because, like we said in the beginning, you're protecting yourself and fortifying yourself for the goal that you want to accomplish. Even if it's just, I really want to enjoy my friend when I go over to the house. I really want to be in that. I'm setting the intention before I even get there.
Right.
So that's really important when it comes to food, right? That's what you taste. When you taste the love in the pie and the macaroni and cheese, it's because the intention is there from your grandmother or from your aunt or from your uncle, whoever knows how to really, put that meal down. It's because there's so much love in it that you can't even write that into the recipe.
Right.
That intention goes so far. And that's really what we're all anchored into sometimes with these holidays.
Right. So listen, y'all, much love to y'all.
Happy holidays.
Reach out to us. Holiday season is upon us. Relationships are being magnified. We want you to reach out to us. You can reach out to us here on YouTube. Please like the Accommodate Everyday page on Facebook, YouTube, Accommodate Everyday. But we are looking to move this activity from the Manwasha page, which is Mansho and Nawasha, to the Accommodate Everyday page, the fan page, because that's where we're putting our content, the majority of our content from here on out. So we want you to like that page if you haven't done it. But if you are looking for some deeper help, we will add the link to this video so that you can click on and get you a free, confidential, no commitment to buy anything or anything, consultation with whatever challenge or whatever is going well that you want to keep going well, because it's not just about the problems, but it's the problems that move us, and we all got them. So let's we are the specialists that can help you with relationship challenges and relationship problems. So I don't got anything else. You got anything else? So happy holidays, whatever you're into, and until we greet you again, as always, we say